What we are given to understand, and I must caveat that this continues to be source-based information, that billion-dollar Gland Pharma Fosun takeover deal is in trouble. And we are given to understand that the cabinet has raised red flags about this deal, and it may even look at the possibility of a rejection. Let's go across now to our colleague Sapna Das, who broke that story. She joins us now with more. So Sapna, it's been almost a year that we've seen, this deal waiting for all the necessary approvals. It's a billion-dollar takeover of Gland Pharma by Chinese company Shanghai Fosun. What can we now expect? What are you picking up? What is the reason for the government being apprehensive about clearing this deal?
Well, reliable government sources have told CNBC TV18 that the Gland Pharma Fosun deal has got rejected by the cabinet on the grounds of, issue of transfer of unique technology from the Indian pharma company to foreign competitors. This is what we understand as of now. Of course, there is no formal communication whatsoever from the government. This is an informal communication that we have received. But on grounds of technology transfer from the Indian pharma company to foreign companies, the deal has not found favor with the cabinet. It was taken up sometime last month, and this is what we understand as of now. Now, this brings us back to the entire matter. It's been almost 1 year since the Gland Pharma deal was being spoken about. It was supposed to be the largest FDI deal in the Indian pharma sector, over 8,500 crores. It had also got the FIPB clearance way back in March, and also the Competition Commission of India had given the green signal. So probably the CCA clearance was expected to be a formality. Well, it appears that that was not really so. And now the next question is, what happens to the deal going forward? Can it be still brought on the automatic route? 74% of FDI is allowed on the automatic route for brownfield pharma projects. Would that still be feasible? Well, just one caveat here in mind, that since the original proposal has got rejected on the grounds of transfer of unique technology by Indian pharma companies to foreign competitors, probably that issue may cast a shadow on the 74% FDI on the automatic route as well. We just need to watch the policy space as to what happens on this going forward, and any formal statement coming from the Indian government, question mark on that.
Absolutely. The formal statement is still awaited, Sapna, but thanks for joining in with what you are picking up from your sources. But it's not really the end of the road for Gland Pharma. We learned from sources that private equity firm Advent is still interested to buy the company. Nisha, who's been tracking that story, is here with exclusive details. Nisha, what are your sources telling you?
Fosun's loss can be Advent's gain, it seems, because sources with direct knowledge share that private equity giant Advent is still interested in buying out Gland Pharma. In fact, over the last 1 year, when Advent lost out to Fosun Pharma in this whole bid process and transaction to buy out Gland Pharma, it has really not lost interest in this particular asset, since the waiting period for the deal to get all its clearances has been extended for so long. Advent has been keeping a track and also has been readying itself to pounce at any opportunity available. So there won't be a paucity of buyers if KKR and Gland Pharma really decide to sell the company once again and have another process altogether. There could be other private equity players as well as strategics which may enter the race as well. But remember, Advent's chances can be much higher right now, because Baxter, the US-based pharma giant, as well as Advent, along with Fosun Pharma, were the last three most dominant contenders for Gland Pharma. And now Baxter has already sealed a deal with Claris, and this deal doesn't make sense for it. So looks like Advent could really have a very, very good chance. So let's see how KKR as well as Gland Pharma and what they really decide on the future strategy, and once the government has taken its decision.
Well, could we see another suitor emerge if the Fosun Gland Pharma deal falls through? That could be an option. Nisha, many thanks for joining us with that. Well, I spoke with DG Shah of the Indian Pharmaceutical Alliance, and here's what he said. He would not be surprised if the Gland Fosun deal were to be rejected by the cabinet, and here's why he thinks that would be the case. Listen in.
See, in any FDI, government looks for three things: investment, employment, and technology. Now, in this particular case, it was the flow of technology was reverse flow, going out of India, and which would have created a competitor for the Indian pharmaceutical industry in the world. So why would government support such a acquisition? there was no new employment coming through.
But does this bode well for the Indian pharma industry, DG Shah? Because the Indian pharma sector has been seeking foreign direct investment. Is this good news for the Indian pharma sector if indeed this deal were rejected on the back of the reasons that you just gave out, that there is no unique technology transfer? In fact, it is a migration of technology out of India to a foreign country and a foreign company. Does this bode well for the Indian pharma industry?
Well, Indian pharma industry has been investing, and in U.S. alone, the IPA companies have invested $2 billion in last year. So this $1 billion investment coming in is not a big deal. And Indian industry is not seeking foreign direct investment. They're looking for partnering for technology. And where technology comes in, the Indian industry is open. But merely for the sake of money, giving away your competitive advantage is not what the industry is looking for.
I get that point, Mr. Shah, but let me also ask you, because maybe, and I don't know whether there is any truth to that, but one would perhaps consider the fact that given where relations between India and China stand, whether that has played any part or weighed on the minds of the cabinet in any form or fashion. If that were to be the case, and if this deal were not to go through, do you believe that it may risk at all India's dependency on China as far as APIs are concerned? We source 85 to 90% of APIs from China. Do you believe that that could be a cause for concern in the future?
Well, answer is no to both. In the first place, this is not a surprise, because very fact that it took so long there were sufficient indications that the cabinet was divided, and there were ministries which did not support this bill. Coming back to the second question, sometimes these are blessings in disguise. Today, India has a very negative trade balance with China. And if China were to retaliate, I mean, it's like saying that, look, this acquisition is on a gunpoint, and if you don't do it, we would hold back supplies of APIs. That I would consider as a blessing in disguise, because that would wake up the Indian industry, and they have capability to produce all these APIs on their own.